What up, friendos? Today, we're talking about the drama. But Kira, you're always talking about the drama. Yeah, I am. You're right. And people enjoy it, so that's what we're going to do. I especially enjoy it. So basically, Hasan RB, if you don't know, big political streamer on Twitch, one of the biggest streamers, definitely one of the biggest political streamers. He's getting cooked right now. Not like gross score, or if people know who that is, I assume many in my audience do. You know, he's not on the chair in the corner watching someone have physical relations with his partner. He's being cooked like you're at a barbecue, or just being, you know, a person on the internet, because that's what happens to everyone nowadays online. Basically, what's happened is he has been clipped on his stream talking about people with real jobs. And I'm just going to say, anytime as somebody who's very privileged and very rich, it pops into their head to start talking about everybody else who are working jobs that they probably hate, that are soul-destroying, just awful experiences, where they're paid almost nothing commensurate to the effort that they put in and the shitty conditions. Just don't talk about it, because nobody wants to hear how difficult your life is as, you know, one of the privileged few, right? A multi-millionaire who has his dream job, who can wake up one day and think, I don't want to do anything today. In fact, what I'm going to do is book a private jet, then go somewhere, and I'll come back in a couple of weeks, a couple of months after staying in a 5-star resort, and I'll not even notice the money missing out my bank account, and I'll come back and still be rich and famous and healthy and all these other things. Nobody wants to hear you complain at that point. You might have valid complaints, and we're going to go over those valid complaints in a minute, but nobody wants to hear it. That's just the top and bottom of it. This entire situation is very easily explainable. Hasan is saying one thing, which he even has a point. He has some points if you engage with it rationally as an adult, but everyone else is hearing another thing, and it's not even that unreasonable to see why people are having, you know, an issue hearing what he's saying, because the problem begins and ends at, nobody wants to hear you fucking complain about your life when you've got everything. Basically everything's good for you, and you're just finding these small things that are, as we will get into in a minute, creations of your own. These are problems that you've created and can be easily solved by you, therefore not requiring you to complain about it. But let's watch the clip that was taken out of context. Apparently, this was the original clip that went viral. Everybody on Twitter is talking about this. Everybody's roasting Hasan. So here we go.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired. But a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same...
As someone who's worked I don't even like the term real job. What people mean when they say real job is that being a streamer isn't a real job. It is. It's just a better job than what a lot of people have, and one that comes with its own, you know, pitfalls and problems and massive benefits if you're one of the privileged few. But what he means by real job is people that are out there working 9-to-5s, people that are working the oil rigs, that are, you know, sweeping fucking minefields or whatever it is, anything that's not on the internet. I'm a YouTuber. A lot of people tell me I don't have a real job, get a real job, things like that. I'm used to it at this stage. We'll go over my opinion on that in a minute, but that's what he means by real job.
Same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
That's basically it for the clip.
Yes, a real...
So what he's saying is, you know, real jobs, they're tiring and stuff like that, but 9 hours of sitting in a mansion... So this is the bad faith take, but also true and funny. Sitting in a mansion, watching other people's videos that they created. As you can see here, he's got a video open in the background. He's probably got, he's got a YouTube video open. He's got some Twitter threads open. He's got some TikTok open. Sitting in a mansion, reacting to content other people made, while being paid more than probably all the people whose content you're watching combined, is very, very difficult. I can understand, you know. I imagine if I was making millions of dollars doing the same thing, I'd also be very drained. The solution to that would obviously be to take some time off and not stream for 9 hours because you've already made it, and you can choose to do that. But obviously what he's really saying is sitting there talking all day is draining, and you probably don't want to have conversations with people or go out to the bar, or even maybe speak to your partner or whatever else after 9 hours of doing that. And as someone who's done long streams, yeah, I wouldn't compare it to people in the real world doing real jobs, because there's no reason to. But yeah, sure, it drains your social battery, if that's what we're going to call it, when you stream for long periods of time. I don't know why it has to be compared to other people doing jobs, though, especially not when, again, you are one of the privileged few, because let's approach this from the common sense angle here. There are people who are doing backbreaking labor. There are people that are doing jobs where they are literally spit on by people on a daily basis. There are people being screamed at by customers. There's soul-crushing, soul-destroying things that people are doing that they fucking hate every single second of. They're being paid very little, and they're probably going to be in that experience for the rest of their fucking life. And then they come home and they see some very privileged person talking about how difficult streaming is. That's exactly where everyone is going to ignore everything you're saying, even if you have a point, some point, even if you explained it poorly in this out of context clip, and they're going to ignore it and say, fuck you, millionaire man, what do you know? Privilege, sitting in your mansion, grew up rich, blah blah blah. Why are you talking about this? And they're not wrong, right? Because you can say, oh man, streaming sometimes it's draining. You don't have to compare it to what other people are doing, especially when those people, many of the people who are viewing your stream and making you have all these nice things, are in situations considerably worse than you. It just makes you look bad. I'm not saying that you'd never have the right to complain, because in a way, this is the same argument as, if you break your leg, don't complain because somebody in another part of the world is dying of some terrible disease. And that means nobody can complain unless you're deemed by society to be the most fucked up person ever with the worst circumstance. Everyone has a right to complain, but there is a tone-deaf element of it when, you're talking about something that's not that difficult in the grand scheme of things, and the only difficulty comes from difficulty you've created. Now, obviously, there is a wider clip here that shows and explains more context. 1 minute and 51. We'll watch this, and then we'll go with my thoughts on, the real job and content creation and where the pitfalls are, and why it's, there are actual real negatives to streaming and content creation and things like that perhaps you don't have with other jobs, but it's a trade-off of other things, right? And you are paid pretty well commensurate to the problem. So here we go. No. Social battery-wise, unless you're in fucking retail, it's very different. You're out of touch. I'm gonna die, dude. There's motherfuckers who are accountants in here, and they're misunderstanding what I'm saying. A real job does not expend your social battery in the same fucking way as someone who did a sales job, a real job, okay? I'm telling you, as someone who did both, like... It's just funny, his whole chat's like, shut up, you're out of touch. They're not even trying to listen to what he's saying. But again, completely understandable why. He's sat there wearing a fucking Rolex hat, bro. I'm sure this is ironic. I'm sure he's doing that ironically, but you have to see the hilarity of this. 9 hours of constant performance and people pleasing. I don't watch Hasan's stream, but I have been linked to clips of him like watching my videos and stuff like that. Maybe not all the time. My videos fucking suck. That's why nobody reacts to them anymore. And which is fine, it is what it is. But I've watched him react to some of my videos, and I've never seen anybody react and say so little while like sitting there eating a meal. I'm not doing the thing where I'm policing, what is a good react versus a bad react, because I'm reacting right now. But I do think that saying, you're on stream for 9 hours, entertaining people the whole time, again, you've created that problem, and I'm going to say you're probably not, high energy engaging with people for 9 hours straight on an average day. I don't think that's happening, but what do I know?
taps you out from social scenarios. After 9
probably.
hours of that, I could probably do fucking physical labor. It would not bother me. But I can't fucking do more social shit. That's my point. Like, there are obviously real jobs out there that are good comparisons. Service sector, people-pleasing jobs would be very similar. Those are like, I think, customer service type shit. But like, if you're an accountant or if you're...
Accountants, by the way, in general, spend a lot of time talking to people, so I don't think this is a very good example. Accountants talk to people pretty often, typically.
Even like in sales, my interactions with clients was limited, way more limited than like constantly having to do this for 9 hours with like a back and forth interaction for 9 hours. That's what like sucks your social battery, and you just tap out after it. Yeah, think about it this way. Like, you give presentations for your job, right? Imagine giving a presentation for 9 hours straight. It's like, after a while, you would be like, I don't want to talk ever again.
Okay, so that's at the end of the clip. Now, the example of a presentation, I'm going to say, is not a very good example, because for a presentation, you're doing this thing that you have to focus on all the time and show people stuff. And I don't think most streamers, like their stream, their show, is as involved as all that. There's no prep. You know, most streamers don't prep anything. They turn on the stream. They might have a general idea what they're going to do that day. They might be planning that they're going to play a game, but it's almost completely off the cuff, right? And it's not that difficult to read chat. I think Hasan maybe has a different experience because he argues with people in his chat all the time. But again, you're choosing to do that and you're curating that audience. So, you know, and there's also no reason for you to be live for 9 hours other than the fact that you want to be live for 9 hours. Also, I think when talking about draining a social battery, if we're going to continue to, you know, use that term and attack the entire conversation around that, because that is what he's saying, so it's only fair. I'm going to say that just speaking and engaging in a, you know, two-way between chat, which is people typing, which you can just ignore, and you sat there talking in a monologue, essentially. I'm going to say that that's not the only way your social battery is drained. As somebody who didn't have much of a social life when I worked a real job, you know, a 9 to 5, where I'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd get home at like 7 p.m. at night because of commuting and stuff like that, because of actually getting there and getting home. And then you eat, and then you take a shower, and then you go to sleep, and that's your whole fucking week. That's your existence. I think that is socially more draining than having to sit and speak for an amount of time that you elect to be your time online. Now, one thing I didn't want to bring up, and I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget, is that when Hasan is the one saying this, it's why it's particularly, you know, engulfed in flames by people that are angry about what he's saying. It's because he is the tippity top. He's at the fucking pinnacle, right? He's at the peak of the mountain. There are people out there that are doing jobs that they fucking hate, while also then coming home, dealing with their family, and then streaming to try and be in Hasan's position. And those are the people that are never really going to complain, because they understand and have it worse than people like Hasan, because they're doing a real job and then doing this as well. And they're not moaning about it by and large, because they're just trying to get on with it and trying to live that dream. Now, obviously, when you want to talk about doing content creation, streaming, whatever else, there are legitimate criticisms and things that are wrong with streaming that do have a negative impact on your life and will. Because for the vast majority of people that go to work, you interact with a small number of people. Maybe if you're in sales or whatever, you're going to have some bad experiences with some shitty people. Sorry about that. It sucks. I hate seeing it and wish people were just more polite in general. None of your problems are ever going to be solved by being a dick to somebody who's a service worker or whatever. They're not the ones making the decisions or whatever else. You're just being a complete moron, basically. You should just leave those people alone. If you have a problem, go to management, write a letter, fucking whatever, go home, fuck yourself, whatever it's going to be. But obviously not all jobs are dealing with shitty people. As a streamer, we can use this as an example to prove my point. You can say one thing just randomly off the cuff that maybe gets taken out of context, maybe isn't, maybe you just didn't sleep well that night and you say something a little bit weird that you didn't really think through, or maybe you clarify right after and it's not all that bad. And then you get millions of people talking shit about you, picking apart every part of your life, harassing you, whatever it's going to be. And that's just a thing you have to deal with. Now, obviously, that comes with the territory of being famous, and you get all the good things that come along with it as well. The opportunity to do really cool stuff, meet famous people, make loads of money, like live a great life that most people would aspire to have, and would give up what they have and take on the negatives to do so. Even for small level streamers and content creators such as myself, I've had people hack my emails, I've had people call my phone and threaten me, I've had constant death threats, things like that. I've had people spread ridiculous, slanderous things about me, and then obviously harass me all the time. There is a whole bunch of stuff that you deal with while doing jobs like this that typically most people aren't going to deal with, and you don't have to worry about, like, you know, am I going to log on today and somebody's got into my Discord server again and spammed Nazi propaganda all over it, or whatever it's going to be? Is my email going to be signed up to another 1,000 spam websites that are sending me, you know, just ridiculous shit? Like, there are, of course, legitimate things that you could moan about if you wanted to with being a content creator or whatever else. But I do think if you are at the pinnacle, if you are making all this money and whatever else, these things should not make that much of a difference to your life, to the point where you're comfortable bringing it up in front of people and talking about other people's jobs, real jobs, and making any form of comparison or ever saying that yours is worse. I think even if it is in some areas, if you said to somebody who works in, you know, 7-Eleven, my job's worse than yours because I get harassed all the time, and credible death threats and whatever else, as Hasan, you know, we're pretending to be Hasan now, you're probably right, you probably do. But why would you be bringing that up in the first place is the issue right at the front of it. There is also obviously the aspect that being a streamer isn't just being a streamer. You do technically own a business, and there's probably a bunch of business stuff you have to do. But again, these are things that are pretty much baked into the fact that you're making a whole bunch of money at this level. You can pay people to do it. There's probably not that crazy amount of stress or whatever. And again, you don't have to have your social battery drained for 9 hours of streaming. Just stream less and you'll probably be less relevant and probably make less money. But when you've been as big as Hasan is for as long, does it really matter, other than the fact that people are going to say you fell off, and then you can, you know, go lay in one of your 17 bedrooms in your mansion and not care, because why the fuck would you? I think that's what it is. Streamer culture is toxic due to what streamers do to themselves to be at the forefront and be at the tippity top of that mountain, and then complaining about that is just kind of, it's tone deaf. So I do agree with him in terms of there are obviously a social battery drain, or whatever you want to call it, that stops you from probably interacting with people as much as you'd want to, or having a real social life outside of streaming if you are going to stream for 9 hours every fucking day. But you really don't have to bring this up to people who are probably earning in a month what you earn in one day, and they take shit all the time as well, and they're the people that are giving you this platform to do this and to say these things. I just think it's silly. I think it's silly on all sides, to be honest, because what he said is not... The outrage and the people going crazy and dragging all the bad things that they perceive about this guy, you know, I don't know all that much about him. It is what it is. I don't think the response is proportional to what he said. Maybe it could have been worded better, and he probably shouldn't be doing it just because the optics are very simple. I've said this like a million times, though of course nobody cares what I think. I just believe that this is true. If you're very rich and in a great position in life, just don't talk about how hard your life is, and unless there's something real bad going on, you've just got a disease, you know, someone in your family's ill, something really bad's happened, don't be talking about, oh, my social battery's low because I choose to stream for long periods of time to earn more money and remain as famous as I am, or maybe get more famous. Nobody wants to hear that shit. That's literally the fucking top and bottom of this entire issue. People don't want to hear that. But obviously, thousands of threads, people going back and forth, hundreds of thousands of likes on these big Twitter accounts that are roasting Hasan. Do I think that's proportional for what happened? No, obviously not. It's just baby bullshit drama between fucking rich people. Who fucking cares? I do think the clip, if you just took the clip and didn't have the main, 1 minute 50 of him explaining after, it does look way worse. You obviously saying real jobs don't suck the soul out of you like streaming will. Man, when I worked my real job for like 5 years, I literally wanted to die almost every single day, to the point where eventually I was almost in a fist fight with my boss before I just walked out and said, fuck this, fuck you, fuck your job, and I'm done, and just never went back. Like, that day just left. And I'm lucky that I then got a disease that almost killed me, and then decided to do YouTube, and it went somewhere slightly, so I can afford to, at least for now, not be homeless. Because if not, I don't know where I'd be. Not in a good place, probably. And I'd probably be one of the people that was looking at Hasan and thinking, you know what? Fuck you. Don't say that. You know, you don't get to say that. So I understand most people just hate everything about their work life. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't you hate your work life? Most people, again, to repeat myself, as most of you know who are watching this video, even if you like your job, you probably have to be at it for more time than you want to be. Because realistically, life's pretty damn short. You will come to realize, if you haven't already faced that fact. And spending most of your time either at work, traveling to work, thinking about work, de-stressing from work, that's no way to live. And I wish people didn't have to. I think we as a society are at the point where, you know, there's not scarcity of resource to an extent that people need to be working such ridiculous hours. But you know, what can I do? What can I say? It is what it is. So that's a daily drama. This is the Hasan drama. Now you're brought up to speed with it all. And yeah, go support me. You know, you can buy stuff that gives me money. And then I can tell you that my job's really hard. And you guys don't have really hard jobs. So you can buy Anime Girl Thigh from Gamersubs. If you do so with the link in the video description, I get a kickback, you get money off. And, you know, we're all winning. Everybody's winning. Thanks for watching as always. See you next time. Peace.